Today, a lot to cover. Tina Peters, a major update, as well as Trump meeting with Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister of Canada. Take a look at this video. I want everyone to pay close attention to the mannerisms and the hand movements, because there is an amount of evil beyond comprehension that is coming across the screen as I watch this. I have a very, very, very bad feeling for Canada right now. The era that we're about to see between the United States and Canada, although right now it seems fluffy, is going to be extremely dark. That's what I predict is coming next. And you can see as he walks in, the fake hand movements, the gestures, scary stuff if you understand the way that works. So let's go ahead and go straight into the big news of the day, though, which is Tina Peters. Trump made a Truth Social post about her. He is looking into the case. We finally may be able to get Tina Peters free after 6 months in prison, being unfairly politically prosecuted, and essentially tortured at her age, being forced to go to the hole, work in the kitchen, a lot of bad stuff. Take a look at this update. Yeah, put the tweet up. Radical left Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state, and instead jailed Tina Peters, a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds in 2020. And then here's where it gets to the important part. So he talks about the same Democrat Party, El Salvador, for MS-13, but then he says, here's the action that he is going to take. He's directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage being held in Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters. He is taking action. He is doing something. That is huge.
You know, the big part about this is that I got a phone call within 5 minutes of this going up. And I said, okay, well, what do you mean something's about to happen? They said something's about to happen. And I got on the phone with Jared and I go, Jared, something's about to happen. And then as I'm talking to him, something's happening. Somebody sends me something while I'm talking to him. I said, hey, did you see this? He's like, no. I was like, I'm sending it to you. And President Trump took a shot across the bow. And there's something I want to say that I can't say on air. And that is that the people in Colorado in leadership are freaking out right now. Now they're trying to figure out, well, I wonder if they've been recording phone calls. I wonder if they've been following people in this. I wonder if they're having conversations and creating confidential informants inside of the governor's office and inside of the AG's office and inside of the DA's office. And my source says yes. I don't know that to be true because I don't have direct knowledge of it. But my source says that all of those things are true and that things are going to happen. So we're going to talk about this and a whole lot more today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
All right, follow me with this. But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is. Matt, we have some thanks to give right now. I think we should start there. So we can start by thanking God first. Because look, nothing miraculous happens to break through evil without him. Sorry if that offends you, but that's the truth. That's the reality. And I think we also need to thank Tina's attorneys. And I'm going to give some attorneys more credit, Matt, than I would give others. And I'm going to start with people like Peter Tickton, who spent endless hours supporting Tina and writing this amicus curiae brief. And here we have it. And the great part about this is an entire article that we have. We'll put it up there. But this District Court, Tina Peters is the applicant, and this was sent to John Fenton and Philip Weiser, who is the Attorney General of the state of Colorado. And it's a civil action. And he enters into the capacity of talking about what is happening in Tina's case. And this is a really powerful document. Because what it does is basically says that what they've done in Colorado is absolutely 100% wrong. That they have covered up the crimes of Dominion voting systems and acted as their minions. That Dominion voting systems is an organized crime unit along with other organizations like ES&S, Smartmatic, Runbeck.
One important thing to keep in mind, too, that this very clearly outlines is that Tina Peters had a federal duty under the law to preserve records and to uphold her constitutional duty to make sure the elections are being held fairly. And so she had to do some of the things that she did, or else she'd be breaking federal law. And so they're very clearly outlining this and making a very strong case that she needs to be released immediately. And not only was the prosecution against her unfair, but it's likely going to lead to people like Jenna Griswold, who I'm sure is very, very, very scared right now. If there's one person who is worried, sitting on the edge of her seat, wondering what phone calls have been recorded more than anyone, it is Jenna Griswold, someone who people have been calling for her to go to prison, and she probably deserves it.
She doesn't probably deserve it. She absolutely 1,000% deserves to go to prison for the rest of her life, for the rest of her miserable, bloated porky pig life. Sorry, I'm not only not a fan, but you can tell. See, there's certain things you can tell about people. When she got up to do her press conference, when it was first discovered that all this stuff, she was shaking. Her hands were shaking, which means she goes, "Oh no, I'm caught. Like they caught me." And the second press conference she was shaking again in that. The third one, she wasn't, because they're like, "Oh, we're just going to prosecute her." All the handlers came in and said, "Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to lay it out." This is absolutely organized crime. We are talking about a conspiracy to defraud the American people and the voters of Colorado. I want to spend a little bit more time on this. This is a statement of interest in this amicus curiae. And it is the American Rights Alliance. Is an IRS code 501c3, nonprofit, non-deductible organization. ARA is a coalition of legal professionals, advocates, and strategists committed to defending the First Amendment, protecting election integrity, and ensuring transparency in democratic processes. ARA works to expose fraud, misconduct, and censorship while empowering individuals to speak freely and without fear. We stand as a shield for those whose voices are marginalized and as a force holding systems accountable to safeguard the core principles of a free and just society. The ARA, founded by attorney Evan Turk and represented herein by attorney Peter Tickton, comprises distinguished legal advocates dedicated to preserving constitutional governance and protecting the separation of powers. Amicus ARA spokesperson Trennis Evans became involved as a potential witness, and Norma Jean, he filed an amicus curiae brief at the Colorado Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court because of a misuse of information about him in the trial court of Colorado, illustrating that the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol reports are false and unreliable and should never have been relied upon in lieu of testimony of live witnesses. Amicus is described at and accessible at 303 Averna Street in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, a lot of boring legal talk, but in summary, this is an extremely positive development in the Tina Peters case. And what it means is that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Colorado elected officials to not only expose the truth here and to have some of this come to light of what they were really doing, but it's also going to put pressure on Tina Peters to get pardoned by Polis potentially, or for the case to be reopened and her to get a fair trial for once. One of those two things almost certainly has to happen when the evidence is this strong, when they're able to clearly point out where the problem was.
700 articles were written about Tina Peters in the state of Colorado that were negative in light, as opposed to 3 that were written fairly about what really happened in the Tina Peters case.
You know, she may have a lawsuit on her hands.
It's
She
not
definitely
just,
does.
we want to get her out of jail first, but
Yeah.
the reality of what we're dealing with right here is not just a gross abuse of power by a government entity. It shows you the power of organized criminals inside of that entire environment, and propped up by people like Kyle Clark, the 9 News anchor, who by the way, 9 News in October of 2020 murdered a man in cold blood with their security guard. There was no imminent threat. And then the DA's office of the city and county of Denver covered up the crime and let the person who murdered that person, who was an unlicensed security guard for 9 News, go without any charges. That actually happened.
That's disgusting.
So you have Tina Peters, who preserved election records. I'm not sure everyone understands the significance of what is going on with Tina Peters. There was 3 Mesa County reports that were written specifically about what was uncovered in the images in Colorado. And let me just be clear. Were there mistakes made in the process by which they went through to gather this information? I believe there was. Was it purposeful? I believe there was. In no uncertain terms, did you need a federal informant to come do an image, who, by the way, has been involved in almost every other circle around the country? You didn't need a Conan Hayes. You didn't need someone to come in and take an image, and you didn't need to pay him $20,000. You didn't need to pay anyone $20,000. And here's the other thing. They could have called me and asked me to make an image for them right here in Colorado. They know I'm here. They know I'm a system architect. They had dealings with me up until that point, which then leads me to the second part, which I don't want to make this about the people that did bad things. But when you have someone like Conan Hayes that gets involved in it, and then you got Doug Frank that comes in it, and you got Sharona Bishop that comes in it, and everywhere you look, you use the ID of somebody else, because how this all happened is they use the ID of Gerald Wood. By the way, he is like a level 1 MSP tech. He's the guy that you would send in if your phone stopped working. He has less ability, and I mean less, Matt, less to a degree that he does not have the technical skills to understand much of anything when it relates to tech. Because anyone with a base knowledge could have used their own ID, walked in, made an image with a $600 program, and they paid Conan Hayes $20,000 to come in and do an image. $20,000. And I don't want to get into who else is responsible for paying the $20,000, and the fact that this is what happens when you play fast and loose with somebody else's life and use them as a pawn in your own game to sell stuff, because that's really what it came down to. But I'm telling you right now, Tina Peters, regardless of what they did to push her off a cliff and I believe they did. I believe Sharona Bishop and Conan Hayes, I do not believe that they were good actors. I do not. I've looked at every which way to Sunday. Anyone with a normal brain would not turn off cameras and do some of the stuff that they did that makes it look like there's improprieties being done, even though there weren't. Now, on the flip side, Tina Peters had an obligation, and she had a right to do a covert operation to look into what at the highest level was crime and corruption being committed against the will of the people in Mesa County. But the further you get down the line with Tina Peters, the worse it gets. Because Tina Peters was not allowed a defense. And the judge, Matthew Barrett, that deviant, denied her in her trial the ability to present the evidence that she was 100% following federal law in order to preserve records in Mesa County of improprieties and crimes that were committed. So Matthew Barrett, this deviant judge, who, by the way, don't we have something coming up? We have an interview.
It's going to be big. It's going
we
to
have
be
an
really
interview you're going to want to see.
Yeah.
It's bigger than pretty much. I mean, it tells the story about Matthew Barrett when he was an ADA. He was fired as an ADA for improprieties, corruption. As an assistant DA, he was fired. But he also did really bad things to people as an ADA.
And he's the one who disgustingly sentenced Tina to way over anything that would even be remotely reasonable. 9 years is a ridiculous amount for a 69-year-old Gold Star mom with no criminal history, not even a parking ticket. It's not just awful, but it shows that there's absolutely no moral fabric left inside of anyone who is willing to do that to someone who clearly is standing in front of them and is a good member of society and does not deserve it, period.
Matt, I want to go into detail on this because it's really important with Matthew Barrett.
Yep.
We found up a bunch of stuff about Matthew Barrett, haven't we?
We have. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a call from Jenna Griswold. Give me a second here. Let me just answer this. Let me put it on speaker.
Hello, is this Man Joe?
Yeah, Jenna. This is Matt and Joe.
So I heard you guys were about to expose all my crimes. Could you please not do that? I don't really want to go to prison.
Jenna, you should have thought about that before you decided to commit the crimes.
Well, but Tina Peters should be in prison, not me.
Jenna, how many times do I have to tell you this? You cannot steal elections, defraud people, go against the truth, lie publicly, take records, and do all the illegal things that you've done and not expect, but please, Matt, please, I don't want to go to prison. I'll do anything, Matt, please. I'm sorry, Jenna, I'm sorry. You're going to prison. Sorry about that. I had to answer.
Should we put our number up so you can actually call us?
Should we put our number up?
You know, it...
allegedly.
Allegedly. The alleged phone
Everything
call?
I said allegedly, yeah. All allegedly.
So I want to walk through, you know, it's not just the judge, it was also the DA, Dan Rubenstein. It was who, by the way, was promised that he'd get some illustrious job because guess who was involved? Merrick Garland, who was on emails to the Colorado AG's office that was following the case inside of Mesa County. So you have a Department of Justice that was weaponizing itself at every level. And let me just tell you something else. As an American citizen, you should be, left or right, you should be upset about this. How many times has a system with an unlimited budget been able to be used in order to persecute Americans, not just Tina? And the reality of it is that this isn't the first time it's happened. This isn't the first time that they've come in and done bad things to people just because they can. This is an organized crime unit. This is literally a Gambino family of people who are largely a part of that cabal we talked about yesterday. And they put Tina Peters in jail. And Phil Weiser was a part of it. And Governor Jared Polis was a part of it. He was a part. The only reason Jared Polis is the governor today is because they stole the election to put that fraud inside of the Colorado governor's mansion. He is a fraud. He was a fraud before. He's a deviant. The amount of people that have come against him that they've tried to bury with, hey, here's a non-disclosure and here's a payment for the non-disclosure, it's mounting. Phil Weiser, I actually thought when he was a professor, I had seen him speak. I had read some of his white papers. I actually thought he was a decent human being. Turns out he's not. And Jenna Griswold is probably the dumbest human being you'd ever meet. She is dumber than a box of rocks. You couldn't find a more stupid person to be the Secretary of State. But she's controllable, and she knows how to repeat the same information. Let's just give an honorable mention to the other people that caused Tina Peters to be in jail. Matt Crane, the ex-county clerk and recorder of Arapahoe County that created a bully pulpit to go against Tina Peters for the Colorado County Clerks Association, funded entirely by Colorado. So you have this separate organization that gets dollars from Colorado that stood up side by side and said it's just misinformation, disinformation. There's nothing wrong with the election system. That piece of shit walked around bullying Tina Peters and other county clerk and recorders to get them to shut their mouth and to fall in line. Carly Koppel, county clerk and recorder up in Weld County. She's a fraud. We can keep going down the line and we could talk about the DAs that did nothing, the ADAs, the deputy attorney generals that did nothing. And then we can start talking about the Antifa journalists, like the Colorado Times recorder, Eric Mabach, Sean Heidi Beadle. Colorado Times recorder is literally the henchman for the Democrat demons in Colorado who have stood up and stood in the way of anyone getting to the bottom of the crimes that were committed in Colorado. And the person that paid the price was Tina Peters.
Almost exclusively, by the way. She's the only one really who's having to pay the full price for all of this. And that's why it's so important what Trump just said. When he decided to click post on that Truth Social post, it is going to send shockwaves through the Colorado system. It is going to send shockwaves and continue to do that. And the reason that happened is because of you. We made posts about it. We all called. We have been begging and annoying and pestering everyone in positions of power to do something and to stand up and to say something. And because of that, the post I made wouldn't have even done that well. It was doing okay on the algorithm, and all of a sudden everyone comes in and starts retweeting like crazy, liking like crazy, and boom, it's at 880,000 views.
It's over 1 million now.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump Jr. Tagged as well in it. Hopefully he saw it. That combined with the amicus brief, combined with all of you doing the right thing and calling and stepping up to the plate. That's why Trump did this. That's why we were able to make change. As a community, what we're capable of doing when we all work together is incredible. And this is a perfect example of it.
So I want to stop for a minute, and I want to give some more thanks, because I've been pretty harsh. I was harsh on Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and others. Very harsh.
And it's possible too that for the last month, like you said, what if they've been tapping phone calls and getting information? And so we have to give them the benefit of the doubt about that.
Yeah, I don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt. Sorry.
No benefit of the doubt from Joe.
You know who I give benefit of the doubt? President Trump. You want to know why?
And Matt Wallace.
Matt Wallace. I give the benefit of the doubt. But President Trump, I give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to this, because he's proven over the last 8 years to be a consistent man of character. And I'm not talking about the Wall Street Journal writings or Kyle Clark or some of the other dirtbags that have literally stood up for this evil cabal. I'm talking about the fact that President Trump has maintained decorum, and I couldn't. I haven't. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, everything in me wants to literally tear demons to pieces. And he has something that I don't have. And maybe it comes with age and understanding, but I was built to be a warrior. But I will give the due credit. He's the only person that I give a benefit of the doubt to, because he's earned it. But I do want to take the time to say thank you to President Trump. I want to say thank you, because there isn't a time that went by that I wouldn't have taken this place of Tina Peters in jail. I would have gladly walked into a court and said, okay, if you let her out, I'll stay. She's 69 years old. She's a Gold Star mom. She lost her son serving.
He means that too when he says it. He would take double the sentence. He wouldn't even care. That's the level of care that Tina Peters has, the level of love that she has right now from people on the outside who are fighting for her no matter what it takes.
I don't know if everyone understands the significance of this. And so
and not just for Colorado, by the way. Looking into what's happening at a state level on elections is going to change nationally the way elections are run and make it essentially impossible for people who are going to try to hurt the country to win, hopefully. Now, we still have a lot of work left to do, but this is a huge first step to call out the practices on the state level that are rigging and cheating elections for their favor and getting away with it for the most part.
So I want to go through and talk about. You're right. Yes. Yeah. I think that President, and you guys need to know about this. There's a U.S. District Court judge, John L. Kane. It sounds like John Kane is a part of the cabal of bad judges that we need to get rid of. And let me just tell you something. You know what the obligation is for everyone that's listening? And you could say, Joe, you're pushing me into my uncomfort zone. What they do to one of us, they do to all of us. What they're doing to Tina Peters, they for sure would do it to you. Matter of fact, they're coming for you next. Maybe not next, meaning the next person, but eventually there won't be anyone like Tina Peters. There won't be anyone like Joe Oltmann. There won't be anything like President Trump. There won't be people that frankly defy all human logic. Like the people that are willing to stand up and take the punches and to do things that frankly most people are not willing to do. They will come for you. And we're at the end of that curve. We're at the cliff. You got to decide to take a left, take a right, or jump off. But this judge on May 5th, yesterday, I believe this is what caused President Trump to say, you know what, I'm done with you. I will reach in and take her out of that jail.
Yep.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to do the right thing, and then I'm going to start arresting people. And I believe he will arrest. I believe that it's coming. I believe that Jenna Griswold is going to prison. I believe that Jared Polis is going to prison. I believe that Phil Weiser is going to prison. And by the way, you hope that they actually didn't. I believe that the Dominion voting systems is a thing of the past with ES&S and Smartmatic. They will get rid of machines. They will get rid of mail-in ballots. They will get to where you have to vote in person. I don't care how inconvenient it is. But yesterday, the U.S. District Court, John Kane, issued a warning to former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters, stating that her motion for release from incarceration while appealing her 2024 conviction appears to be improperly filed. In other words, you're not allowed to do both at the same time, which is the most absurd thing ever. The issue stems from her convictions being prosecuted at the state level, meaning the federal court likely lacks jurisdiction to grant her release, which is not true because you have this thing called the Supremacy Clause. So you have the right in federal jurisdiction to step in when the state law that was supposedly broken was done in protection of the interest of American citizens. And Kane indicated that the motion may be dismissed unless Peters can prove a valid justification by May 12th, 2025. Now, he gave her a week to respond. That little prick took as long as he possibly could, and he gave her, this is like Bossberg all over again. Let's bring in El Salvadorian criminals. In April 2025, Peters filed a motion asserting, am I following the same thing you're following? What am I doing here? What do we have up that I need to follow? Is that something I need to follow? Put that back up. I'm just trying to figure out where that is.
I think that's further up on it.
It's up here.
Also, where's our commercial break? I've been wanting to watch the commercial again. Since the beginning of the show, where the beaver gets shot.
The beaver gets shot?
I want to see it.
All right. I want to see the beaver get shot.
Let's play a commercial.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get more into Tina Peters. I want you to understand what's happening with Tina Peters. We'll be right back.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm John Tig Tigan. I'm one of the Benghazi warriors from 9/11, 2012, or 13 Hours movie. If you're a gun owner or plan on becoming a gun owner, this is where DCF comes in. As one of the lead instructors over here at DCF Guns, I'm going to ensure that you can properly handle your firearm and properly defend and protect your loved ones and yourself. For those of you guys that are thinking about purchasing a gun or getting involved in firearms, DCF Guns has an introductory class which will teach you the very basics of firearms, how to store firearms, even how to pick your own firearm if you have not yet. Our next step is the 100 series. We're going to go into the fundamentals of marksmanship, which is going to be how to hold your firearm, how to sight in your firearm. Then we're going to go into the next step, which is going to be your maintenance, disassembling, reassembling your firearm. And then we're going to go into how to strings of fire, rapid fire, how to get more accurate shots on your threat. Our next step is the 200 series. With pistol, we're going to teach you how to draw from the holster and return to the holster in a safe manner. With the carbine, we're going to teach you how to use the sling properly. We're going to teach you how to do proper reloads, what different types of reloads there are. We're going to teach you cover and concealment, what's the purpose of each and which one does what, and then good in shooting and moving, and also transitioning from your rifle to your pistol and back from your pistol to your rifle. Your next step is going to be the level 300 series. This kind of combines all your training into one step. Keep going forward is what we do. We're going to go into low light. We're going to go into close quarter combat stuff, CQB, room to room clearing, situational training and stuff like that. Your training never ends, so get in here and let's get it done. Start your training at DCF Guns today and save on classes when you become a member. And when you become a member at DCF Guns, you can unlock some major benefits. Priority range reservations, discounts on firearms and ammo, discounts on gunsmithing, and we offer a lifetime cleaning. So visit dcfguns.com to learn more, or you can contact us directly with any questions you might have.
We have the this is going to be a little bit longer show today, but we're going to try and run through this so you guys can understand everything, because we do have some other things to talk about, but nothing probably more important than this. But I want to go through a set of summary of events, and there's this article in April 2025. Peters filed a motion asserting that her convictions raised substantial questions of law. Meriting her release during the appeals process, she claims that the state violated her First Amendment right of free speech and her Fourth Amendment protection against reasonable searches and seizures, while arguing that she poses no flight risk or danger to the community, positioning herself as a low-risk candidate for release, which is true. If you're not trying to get your pound of flesh, she would be an easy candidate. The U.S. Department of Justice has shown interest in Peters' case, prompting the Judge Kane to question the federal government's role at the state-level prosecution. In other words, it's trying to stand in the way, and this is where it gets murky, right? This is where it gets really, really murky. Why would a judge in the federal case not look at the supremacy clause, which was questioned in it clearly? It was clearly put in there that there's a supremacy issue of whether or not Tina Peters was protecting and looking at what was happening at the federal level to violate federal law, and that the state came in and said, we don't care about any of that, or the fact that you ran a covert operation and that you're a whistleblower. We're going to prosecute you for it, and we're going to stop you from getting a defense. And we're going to make sure that everyone involved in it is a part of this cabal to hide and say the same words, misinformation, disinformation, nothing to see here, even though we have mountains of evidence against them. So the Kane showed, it's funny how it came. Eric Coomer's lawyer's name's Charlie Kane. This is Judge Kane as well. I wonder if this is like the old Cain and Abel story. Judge Kane's questioned the federal government's role in the state level prosecution, which adds a layer of intrigue given Peters' prominence among election denialists. Kane set a deadline of May 12th for Peters to demonstrate why her motion should not be dismissed, creating a critical juncture in a legal battle that could influence the trajectory of her appeal. So that was an article.
And by the way, I think we should also play the clip as well, because while we're going through this case, it's important to realize that this is legal talk. This is stuff that's important. But there's a woman right now who is currently, as we speak, being hurt in prison, who's being forced to go through a regimen that the worst of the worst are all around her, and that's everyday life for her. So I want to put up the tweet real quick, and then we're going to continue to go over this because it's super important to understand the details. But I want to show her own words what she's experiencing right now. If you could put up the tweet. So this is the one that, as a result of everyone sharing, it ended up going super viral when it wasn't going to, only because of you. Did this tweet get out to a lot of people? And you can see, so that goes over the details. And if you want to scroll down, Apollo, you can see the video. And so this is only about 30 seconds long. It's a short clip. And if we can play the audio of it, you can hear Tina in her own words describing what she's dealing with right now.
So tell John Case that thank you very much. And he started the ball rolling. And they're going to move me to another place. My status right now is called back to that same area. It's where the command or whatever, where all the higher officers are. And they're like, hurry up. But I'm trying to finish the thing and stuff. And so I told them, I said, well, I'm supposed to be at work at 10:15. I said, so, it's 5 after 10. So well, that doesn't matter. You go to here and you go to property. By the way, thank you for the book. Thank God.
So there we go. So that's her own words. And then there's also, if you could play it real quick, Apollo, the tweet itself, where she explains and basically she cries out for help. That's what it is. And if we could actually get the audio of that, I think that would be good. Okay. Yeah, Paul also give him, I don't know if you can hear him live, but he said give him 10 seconds. So now we'll be able to pull that up. And that also shows footage of the prison that she's in. So you can see the bars, you can see the way the fence is, the way it looks. And that's powerful. To be able to see it and to be able to visualize what's happening is a whole nother level than just hearing about it.
When you start seeing who is showing interest in this case at the state level,
Yep.
It starts to become very clear what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah.
So the part that, so you have a.
Got it. Okay.
All right, let's go and play it.
I'm probably going to have to go to the hole for 30 days because I'm not going back into that kitchen. And then when I go to the hole for 30 days and they take away my tablet and they do all these things to punish me, then I talked to one girl and we're going to put me back in the kitchen again.
So she got major back problems. She's 69 years old. And they're trying to work her basically like a dog at 18 cents an hour.
About to have her 70th birthday behind bars, by the way.
Okay, so let me back this up for you so you understand. The Colorado corrections system is based on a for-profit system. A vast majority of the people that invest in the for-profit prison system in Colorado are judges, DAs, AGs, people that are in the legal profession, most a part of this big cabal. So they invest in it. If you want to have a phone call with an inmate, it's 25 cents a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, you can get down to 21 cents a minute. Just to give you an idea, that's a local phone call. That costs them probably 0.00001 cent. You can get actually a system in there that would make it relatively free. Matter of fact, you can make free phone calls. They charge 25 cents a minute. If you want ramen noodles that you can buy at the store for 25 cents, you have to pay somewhere between $3 and $6 for ramen noodles. If you want to make a text message and through their system, it costs anywhere between 20 and 30 cents to send a text message. If you want to send an email, it's $2. So What I'm telling you is that their entire system, on one side, you go work in the kitchen, you get 18 cents an hour. And by the way, you have a bill when you get out of jail. I mean, I've never been to jail, but I've seen I've worked with guys that have gone to prison, that you get charged. You have to pay back the jail for being in jail, for being fed to be in a prison, so that they can make even more money on you when you get out. This is the for-profit prison system. The system is designed to hold people in prison, which is why the piece of shit Judge Matthew Barrett, that piece of trash who denied her the ability to have a defense, and has done this to many, many people, has bullied, intimidated. Wait till you hear the story. I mean, this is an unbelievable story. And I spent the last 3 weeks working on this. And when you hear what's happening in that case, and the deviancy and how these people are connected to each other, Judge Barrett, who was a DA, and the person that he's not only protecting for, but he is covering for, you're not even going to be able to believe it. Barrett, we're coming for you, buddy. We're coming for you. We're going to make sure your piece of trash ass goes to prison. Count on it. You can't hide in a hole big enough. Moses Andre Stancil is the executive director of the Colorado Department of Corrections. Joined in, now this is the person that runs the Department of Corrections, joined in with Phil Weiser in filing an order to show cause that was dated May 5th. Now keep in mind that their entire job is designed to keep people in prison. But the executive director has no knowledge of this case. None. Now, Phil Weiser was not the DA, but the DA is now out. We got him out. We want to stay as far away from the crooked judge and the piece of trash Dan Rubenstein. We want to stay as far away from them as possible. But this is how the order to show cause starts. Petitioner Tina M. Peters is convicted and sentenced state prisoner in the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections. She initiated this action through counsel on February 7, 2025. Court directed respondents to file a pre-answer response to the potential applicability of the affirmative defenses of timeline and exhaustion of state court remedies. Respondents filed a pre-answer response contending that Ms. Peters' claims were improperly exhausted in state court. Ms. Peter has filed a reply arguing the rejection of the exhaustion defense and seeking to have respondents answer the merits of her petition. See, what they want to do is they want to make sure she stays in prison long enough that then they're like, you know what? You didn't exhaust everything at the state level. But when the state level is captured by a bunch of communist pieces of trash, what do you expect Tina to do? Walk through this? We've already proven it. We've already proven that the court system inside of Colorado, they're not judges. These are hired henchmen for radical pieces of trash.
I also think some of the people right now who are involved are scared for their lives not because the people who are mad at them for doing it are going to take their life. The people who are mad at them for doing it, us, we want them to go to prison. The people who are potentially going to be taking their life in a scenario would be if they don't want the truth about the elections to come out, and if they want to protect that at all costs to avoid going to prison for life. We could start seeing some of the people in this case getting Epstein. That is a very real threat. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's something that these people are afraid of. It's something they're worried about. And prison, honestly, would probably be a much nicer relief for a lot of them than what could be coming, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately, they deserve a lot of bad things to happen to them. We're not calling for them to be taken out. We're not calling for them to be hurt or assaulted. We just want the legal process to play out, and we want justice to be served. We want everyone who cheated, everyone who held Tina to the fire and made her suffer unfairly. We want them to have to feel the same exact thing that they did to others times more, because that's the consequence when you have evil inside you and you let it dictate your actions.
It's treason.
It is.
They committed treason. And the punishment for treason is up to and including death. And I'm going to tell you right now that I'll pray for you after the consequences. I don't see any difference between what Phil Weiser did and what the Taliban did in killing our soldiers overseas. I don't see any difference.
I always say, I think what the U.S. needs to do right now, the for-profit prison system, when it's used to do justice for people who deserve it, for the worst of the worst, for the worst criminals, that's one thing. But there are so many innocent people who get drawn up and railroaded because it is for
Take a plea
profit.
deal, otherwise you're going to go for 20 years.
Exactly.
They
It's-
stack
it's
charges and do
designed.
things. It's designed to hurt people.
That's why I think the only solution right now is to massively expand the prison system in El Salvador. I've said this multiple times. I will
Oh.
continue to advocate for it. I want the worst of the worst prisoners to be sent there for the rest of their lives, where they will be at a fraction of the cost, in a situation where they will have to think about what they did, the consequences, and many of them don't care. Many of them are just evil, but the main thing is they're off the streets, they're away, and the consequence is very clearly set. You're going to be in one of the most awful conditions on earth if you commit these crimes. If you give drugs to children, if you decide that you want to be participating in a gang or do any of these things or take someone's life, you deserve to spend the rest of your life in those conditions, and we shouldn't have to pay a much higher cost for it when there's the ability to do it for less. That's how I want to see it happen. And then there's not going to be as many railroads for profit because they're not going to be making profit in the United States. That's how I want to see it happen.
You know, what's interesting is that what you said is, yes, I believe that we should find, but here's the problem. The for-profit prison system, if we just got rid of it, we just stop people from making money on it, people would lose interest in it. It would be less appealing for, to send people that are innocent to prison. You wouldn't have some of the things that are happening happen. As you go through this case with Tina Peters, they basically railroad and create a narrative that's absolutely 100% not true. They leave out the fact. They said a jury found Ms. Peters, the former county clerk reporter, guilty of attempting to influence a public official, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, first-degree official misconduct, violation of duty, and failure to comply with requirements of Colorado State Secretary of State of Mesa County District Court. The trial court did not. The piece of trash judge who basically violated the law, the crooked judge, Matthew Barrett, the crooked Matthew Barrett, sentenced Ms. Peters to 8.5 years in prison to be served consecutively to a 6-month jail sentence.
And the smugness when he read it, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
When he read her sentence, the level of joy he got from doing that to a grandmother who he knew didn't deserve it was disgusting. One of the most disgusting things I've actually ever seen was watching that clip.
The trial court did not deny her motion for appeal. The trial court, a crooked judge. See, I'm going to replace the words in here because words matter. The crooked judge, Matthew Barrett, Dan Rubenstein, the crooked DA, lying sack of crap. Those people, the crooked, deviant judge, by the way, who, by the way, has a habit of doing this.
Just wait until you see our next interview.
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable.
It's going to be, it will drop so many balls when it comes to this, no pun intended.
And we're going to have them in the studio.
They're
coming to the studio. This
In
week,
person.
we will have somebody in the studio. We're working out the details now to make sure that these people are safe.
That's right.
We haven't figured out whether or not they're going to be able to come out with their actual face and voice.
We may have to hide the identity, but what I can tell you right now is what you're about to hear will not only change your opinion of Matthew Barrett. Even if you hate him, you're going to hate him 10 times more. This is going to be one of the most shocking and revealing interviews that has ever been put out regarding any judge or any case that has got this much national attention. It will be very significant.
Joe, can you explain your new logo to your audience? Yeah, it's True North, right? It also means Delta or change. Darwin, it's good to see you.
I love the logo, by the way.
Darwin's my friend. I've known him a long time. Super good guy. It's really good to see you, Darwin. One of my favorite people ever, and a patriot. So True North, what it means. It also means Delta. It's a triangle. It is not an all-seeing eye. There's nothing in the middle of it. It is literally, it means change, and it faces True North. And we sold a crap ton of them, so
yeah,
they're everywhere. You can go to Honorbound USA and buy your hat. They're pretty cool hats.
And your battle axe.
And your battle axe. Got to buy.
I always have to mention that. I can't not. Did you see, by the way, Joe? Did you see the big drug bust that they just did, where they caught enough drugs to kill hundreds of preschools worth of children? I say preschools because there are actually kids that young who get into these pills and who do end up overdosing and dying as a result of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop another bomb on you right before that, though.
Okay.
Ready?
I want to hear it. Drop the bomb.
Read that.
Former Colorado postal employee admits to stealing ballots ahead of 2024 election. Admits to what, Joe? Stealing
Admits to
ballots.
Stealing ballots.
Wow. That's huge.
So let me just tell you why this is just another argument for getting rid of election machines and mail-in ballots. One of the women accused of stealing and fraudulently casting more than a dozen ballots ahead of last November's election pleaded guilty Monday. Vicki Stewart, 64, was charged with 34 counts related to the ballot theft scheme, which occurred in the lead up to last year's presidential election. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of identity theft and 1 count of forgery in the 21st Judicial District. For much of the hearing, she answered Judge Brian Flynn's questions a simple yes, but when asked why she was willing to accept the plea agreement, she responded, "Because I feel like I am guilty for the part I played in it." Played in what? What part did she play in it? Stewart was charged in November with counts that include forgery, identity theft, and attempts to influence a public servant. According to the arrest affidavit, Stewart and another woman stole more than a dozen ballots from Mesa County residents.
Wow. If only there was someone, let's say maybe between the age of 60 and 70, who was willing to try to record what was happening with these elections and get the data on it so it could be made public. I bet if someone did do that, though, they would probably put fake charges against them in order to silence them and stop the information from coming out, then try to delete it all anyway and make sure that no one's able to see. That's probably what they would, I mean, just a guess. That's probably what they would do if that happened.
So here's the problem with all of this, right? We know the system. Go ahead, take it down.
Yeah.
She's getting sentenced in June. There's no transparent process when it comes to mail-in ballots. None. And for those of you that say that, well, it's more convenient for me, I don't have to go stand in line, you're not an American. I'm just going to tell you right now. If you can't go stand in line for the thing that is the most important, that has led us to a place right now where we have fraudulent ballots, we have fraudulent people in office, we are represented by some of the worst human beings known to man. Most of our politicians, all 7,500 of them, and the nearly 40,000 judges we have, are put there in the positions of trust and authority because of fraudulent people that were selected, not elected.
Yep.
And you know what? The biggest problem we have in this country is not the criminals on the street. It's the criminals that actually take 56 cents of every dollar that you have and then hand it off in their little pet projects and take money and meat off the bone that doesn't belong to them.
Can you believe that, by the way? That we have gone from a country that was founded by men who were literally willing to die in order to not be taxed in a very vicious manner. And now we're willing to just give almost our entire paychecks and to pay taxes over and over and over again on everything we buy, on everything we make at such a high level that we don't even have freedom anymore because politicians think they can take advantage of us. It really is insane, the fall of our country to this point. And we have to stand up right now and fight back against it. That's the whole point of creating what we're doing. That's why we need a brotherhood. That's why we need to have a group of all of us working together to change it and to act in the same manner that the founding fathers did, where we are willing to sacrifice greatly, even up to our life potentially, if we need to, in order to save the country for our future generations, for our kids, for our grandkids, for everyone that comes next.
So one of the cool things about having Matt on here, and one of the things that I said to Matt before, is that Matt represents a generation that's different than my generation. And so Matt truly is, he's in his mid-20s. I won't give him his exact age. I don't want to dox him. He's got 3 beautiful kids. He's got a beautiful wife. He's literally wicked smart, which I will tell you that his generation actually does have more intelligence. They like TikTok videos. He actually just makes them. He doesn't particularly like them very much. But he's in a different generation, and he's coming up, and his ability and desire to learn and what's next is super important. Can we get my generation, which, by the way, we're the thugs of the last 20 generations. Like we're like the toughest breed you're gonna find. Like we're tough guys.
Yeah, even though you guys screwed everything up for us. Thanks a lot.
I did not. It was actually before.
It wasn't
the one right before.
It wasn't Joe. It was everyone else.
It wasn't me. Actually, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
But I fought the fight. I never got involved in politics, but I fought the fight at a local level and won.
And a lot of people in my generation are gay and retarded. So, I think it evens out. I feel like lately, the last few generations have been a lot less cool and ambitious and courageous than the generations that came before.
I mean, look, we used to jump trash cans without helmets on. We didn't have mouth guards. We just ran out there and just busted ourselves up. We got in fights in the street. We played flag football that turned into tackle football in the road. Like we didn't care. We're like, tackle me. Come on, let's go.
I was part of the last generation that got to experience some of that because now all they do is sit inside on their iPads all day. But I mean, I'll just put it this way. At my local clinic, they knew my middle name. Every single person there. I'll put it that way. And we certainly had some fun. I remember we'd always go play football, try to ride our bikes on construction sites, all sorts of crazy stuff. Not as crazy as Joe,
bro.
Not even close. It wasn't as cool. I'll admit it. It wasn't. We still had cartoons to go back to, so we were a little softer.
Can I tell the story?
Oh, I want to hear it. Yeah, I want to hear it again. I know which story this is.
No, you don't.
I don't. I've never heard this before. This is a new one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just experienced this. So everyone, just a quick break before we get into the Pam Bondi takedown of a massive drug cartel. Matt is like, Joe, you can throw a football 60 yards on a string? Yeah, I can.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's
I know where this is going.
He goes, go get a football. I was like, all right. I went and got a football, pumped it up. And actually, I'll tell you what, Matt's got some hands. Like he can snag the ball out of the air. So I will tell you.
I played wide receiver in high school. So yeah, I got a little bit of
but I could throw a ball 60 yards.
It's one of the most impressive things I've seen from Joe is his ability to throw a football way further than you'd expect he could throw a
football. and really accurate.
Actually, yeah, it is. If Bonix gets injured, maybe you can go step up to the plate.
I told you I was a specimen, man. I love sports. But Matt decides, all right, I'm going to kick the ball.
And Joe decided not to sweep up the rocks that were on the driveway.
No. They weren't on the drive. They were on the second driveway.
A bunch of little pebbles.
So Matt goes to kick the ball.
Don't remind me.
Apollo, have you seen Snoopy? Can you get me the video of we actually have a live video.
This is a live video of me kicking the football.
Remember Snoopy where he pulled the ball? Apollo? Okay, can you find me the video of him pulling the ball? Because I think that is exactly what happened to Matt.
It's exactly what happened.
He went to kick the ball. He went up in the air and landed. All you heard was thud. I was like, are you okay? He's like,
it was so painful. I still haven't recovered fully from that.
No.
But it was a good kick though. The kick went far.
It was the best kick he ever had. It's the best kick, but unfortunately, his body paid the price, and he was bleeding everywhere.
You can still.
Here we go. Charlie Brown. Whoop.
That was me. That's literally what happened. That's me. That's a live view. Okay, why are you playing the footage of what happened? I thought we were going to play the Snoopy footage.
That was exactly
what happened.
How it happened.
And you can see I show. So that's my elbow. As a result of, you can still see
it's better now.
It's been like a week and a half.
So but they questioned me yesterday. They're like, Joe can't throw, and I was like looking for Apollo. I tattooed Apollo too in football, but he's also got hands it's unbelievable. I could throw the ball anywhere in his area and he'd catch it. He's semi-retarded at playing football too.
Genetic retardation.
Genetic retardation. All right, let's talk about Pam Bondi, shall we?
We shall. Pam Bonfire.
This is crazy. She just announced a takedown of a massive drug and weapons trafficking organization in New Mexico.
Not the old one.
Not the old one. By the Sinaloa cartel, resulting in the largest fentanyl seizure in our nation's history and the arrest of 6 high-level cartel members illegally in the United States. And here's what she had to say. Let's go and put this up.
And pay close attention to the number, because this is enough. This is literally enough to kill every single preschool child in the country, potentially. This is the level of the bust that we just saw.
This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right, the head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves.
Wow.
11.2 kilos is not a lot.
3 million pills, though. That's huge. I mean, it angers me so much that they are allowed to do this, that there's somewhere right now on earth in multiple places people who are manufacturing these drugs, and there's not the U.S. military that's going and stopping them. How is it even possible? Trump said he promised that he would use the U.S. military to go after these disgusting cartels that are taking the lives of so many kids in America, so many adults, destroying their lives, taking young people who are capable of great success, who are capable of achieving a lot, smart, and taking them and ruining their lives, getting them addicted to these awful substances that take away your personality, that take away your ability to be ambitious, ruin your entire life, destroy it. And it's almost impossible for many to ever get off of it for their entire lives. This is a lifelong destruction of our communities, and they're not doing nearly enough to stop it. The Biden administration did nothing. The Trump administration is doing a little bit more, but he is not holding up to his end of the promise where he said he would go and take the fight directly to them. He needs to do that immediately, because if I have to continue seeing the stories in the news of people who are having their lives destroyed from it, people we know personally, people you know personally. By the way, 1,100 people currently watching one of our biggest shows, which is awesome. Welcome everyone who just came in every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
You're talking about just on
You can hang out
Rumble?
with us here. Yeah, just on Rumble. So this is a big show. A lot of people watching right now. You know someone who's going to want to watch this, who's going to want to see these updates. It's a really cool angle because we have Joe and I who are part of different generations, each bringing our own angles and takes to it. We have an incredible team back there as well. People who are very smart, who know what they're doing, except for Apollo. No, I'm just kidding. Apollo's one of the best in the world. He's extremely smart at what he does, and he's very loyal. And Joe gave him a huge shout out a few episodes ago. But we really do have a few other people back there who are very good when it comes to we're allowed to say all the names of everyone.
JC doesn't care.
Okay.
She you know what? She belonged in our generation. She
Okay, that's
does? She does? Yeah, she doesn't care. Get out of here. See? You do? You do? Oh, she cares. Oh, really? Why? She's like the most fearless one we have. How is that even possible?
But yeah, the point
She'll
is,
punch you in the face.
the point is to move on from that. And we do have incredible people who are working on this show and who are part of it every single day. So you're going to want to join us. It is the fastest growing show on Rumble by far. We are going for that #1 spot, and we're going to continue bringing you the best news coverage by far. So come be part of that. You have to be part of it and get a hat, get a battle axe, and join the brotherhood. That's what needs to happen. But yeah, I mean, this story is not just crazy. This story shows that, first of all, how is that even possible? They were able to have that many. 3 million is a lot of pills. How are they able to have that many? How are they able to traffic it? So you're not as impressed as I am.
No.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because when I was 16 years old, I was a mule for drugs.
Yeah.
And I would take big packages of cocaine and I would deliver it. And I'd make $5,000 a pop. And a backpack full of cocaine, make $5,000. I was a young kid that just needed to make a little money. And I've never done drugs.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm being honest, I sold them when I was a kid out of necessity. It was and that's why these young men in the streets in the inner cities, they sell drugs. And by the way, anyone that thinks that somebody would rather not live an honest life versus be in the cartels, that's the only option they have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in large part, I'm not making excuses for him at all, but 3 million is a drop in the bucket. Do you know how many 3 millions there are?
Yeah.
There's probably 1 billion pills. It's not an exaggeration. 1 billion pills a year that gets trafficked through, and we can only find 3 million. We can only find 2 million. We can only find, low level, Sinaloa cartel members that are living up in the most crazy, most corrupt, one of the most corrupt states, if you want to count Colorado as one of them too, in Oregon. 3 million pills would fit in that little wastebasket right there. That wastebasket right there would hold 3 million pills.
There's no way. That wouldn't hold 3 million pills in that little wastebasket. You'd need, okay, we're gonna need
Apollo,
a fact check on that.
Apollo.
Pull up what 3 million pills looks like, because it's gonna 3 million, not.
Yeah, would fit in that wastebasket right there. 3 million.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, think
about how small a pill is. Think about the density of it. By the way, you could put the entire population of the world, all 7 billion people, in one high rise in New York City. So your mind doesn't get to the fact of how much. That's why they didn't show the number of bags that they have up there, because it wasn't that many. Right? It's like the largest seizure of fentanyl in those bags over there.
Just in, everything is fake and gay.
Apollo, am I wrong?
Breaking news.
Of drugs in a small area, man. Like the dosage, like the lethal dose of fentanyl is a big deal. So that's probably why they're calling it a lot. But like it does not take a lot of space to transport like small things like that. Like you got to think about it, dude. They'll have a single box car and they'll have like 40 people in it.
Yeah.
Until you see them when they pull it out. Like pills, you would be surprised how many they can transport.
I'm telling you right now, that wastebasket would hold 3 million pills. That wastebasket. I mean, I don't even know if you could put a thing.
We're gonna have to test that. We're gonna have to test that. We'll have to get
with fentanyl or sugar pills.
Yeah,
hey, if you're a cartel member, call us.
Yeah, we'll buy
1-800. We won't send you to jail yet.
Yeah, we obviously we have to use the real deal, or else it wouldn't be a real experiment.
Oh my gosh.
No, we'll use fake pills. But yeah, no, I want to see that. I want to count one by one 3 million until it's full.
So here's something interesting. Pam Bondi tried to tell us where the pills are coming from.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, fentanyl is legally used in the United States, which makes this even more difficult because the fentanyl is being created to solve a problem. I mean, Michael Jackson died of a fentanyl overdose, right? Propofol, which is a derivative of fentanyl.
And so did one of the most historic leaders in American history, someone who's brave, stunning, incredible person, never did anything bad, never held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, and George Floyd. A great American hero who died from fentanyl overdose.
Don't hold a man down. All right, play it before it gets out of control. Play it.
Yeah, and Larry, it's interesting. People in China don't get addicted to fentanyl because they're shipping it to our country to kill 18 to 34-year-olds. 75,000 Americans are dying every year because of fentanyl. It is a weapon of mass destruction, in my opinion. It's destroying lives. It's costing our taxpayers trillions of dollars. And it's killing our kids, 18 to 34, #1 cause of death. The precursors are all made in China. It's shipped to Mexico, into our country, or through now India, other routes, ports of entry, USPS, coming into our country, and they're killing our kids, and it's got to stop. And it takes 1 grain of fentanyl. I put it in here to show you earlier. You can barely see it. It looks like 1 grain. This is salt, not fentanyl. 1 grain is all it takes to kill an American citizen. And that's what these people are doing.
All right, so I want you to show you something else. Ready? This is what overdosing looks like. Viewer discussion is advised. Play it. Do we have sound on this?
Yeah, nowhere over is breathing and stuff.
They're going to give him a shot of he's overdosing right now.
Yeah, he's breathing though.
And they're doing that, by the way, with the hand on his chest to try to get him to start breathing again.
How you doing? Good, man.
He's as good as dead. You want to play the whole thing or no? Or is that the whole thing?
He actually, believe it or not, he gets up at the end.
Yeah, because they give him Narcan.
Mm-hmm. He would be gone if they didn't proceed with the emergency medical care. So that's
he'd be dead.
He'd be gone.
Yeah.
And the other thing to keep in mind is when you watch that clip, imagine if there was no way to get access to those drugs. Then all of those first responders had to spend their time and who are getting paid by the tax dollars. There he is saying up. It shouldn't be possible for anyone to access drugs that are capable of doing that to you at any point. And it should be easy. It should be easy. It should be the easiest thing to stop. And yet it's almost like they're not even trying. That's what sucks about it.
There's been, we have several people that watch this podcast, watching for 4 years. And I got a note from someone who said that their son overdosed on fentanyl just a couple months ago. And they sent me a letter and it's like, Joe, you talk about that it's a sickness. And she goes, my son literally struggled with drug addiction for decades. But she said it was so readily available. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Steve Miller talked about how the press caters to cartels. And this to show you, they cater to the Antifa, they cater to evil demons. They create lies and they cater to those that put drugs on the street. It's a vicious cycle of just terrible people. Let's go ahead and play it.
Yes, the American press is trying to see how it hurts cartel members' feelings when Donald Trump has accurately portrayed them as foreign terrorist enemies of the United States. Hundreds of thousands of Americans, hundreds of thousands, have been killed by the fentanyl that these monsters have trafficked into our country, lacing our drugs with this lethal poison that many teenagers and many young people in this country don't even realize that they're ingesting, and they drop dead, and their parents don't even know what happened. These same cartels, by the way, that wage assassination campaigns against their opponents, that use fear, violence, torture, and intimidation to get their way, that are responsible for all illegal immigration into this country. In other words, everyone who crosses that border is smuggled by a cartel or a cartel associate, and they're responsible for the human trafficking and child trafficking that has plagued the Western Hemisphere. But it's President Trump, of course, who they are now attacking, the press is attacking, for shutting all of that down, for ending child trafficking, ending human trafficking, for cutting the number of drugs dramatically that are entering this country, and of course for achieving the most secure border in American history.
What say you?
I'm not impressed. More talk, do the actions. I know Stephen Miller has at times.
He's a smart dude.
He's a smart dude. And he, for the most part, I think he has good intentions. He has a good heart. But also at times he has tried to take credit for things and tried to do things in a way that I think
mean like
could have been
Carney?
better. Yeah. So there's stuff. I'm critical of Stephen Miller more so than most people are, who just like pretend like he's the greatest thing of all time. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. In this case, he's saying the right things, but do the right things too. By the way, Joe, how many people in the current U.S. Senate / Congress, how many people do you think are currently addicted to drugs and alcohol as we speak? What would you guess if you had to put a percent on it?
I don't know, 40%?
At least, yeah. So I think that's another important thing to keep in mind is that
I quit drinking.
Which is
I'm 8 months in.
I'm very proud of Joe for that, by the way. That's awesome.
Except for the fact that I have a very large wine collection and bourbon collection that I'm going to have to hand over to Apollo. Not very happy about that.
Well, Apollo, will you accept? Will you accept?
I don't drink anymore.
You don't drink anymore?
No, like I've drank once this year, and it was like a glass.
Do you see how the positive influence works? It's the power of it. What made you stop?
I was tired of feeling like crap.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's when we're building a brotherhood, when we're building a group that is capable of taking on these powerful, evil monsters, we have to be clear of mind. We have to be clear of heart. We have to put God first. And to do all three of those things, we have to avoid, to the degree we can, alcohol and drugs. Avoiding that, staying away from it, doesn't mean you can't ever have it, right? But by being at our best peak self, collectively, that's how we're going to be able to do the most good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even though that sucks. I mean, your payment plan for Apollo and wine is probably going to fail. I think.
I know.
It doesn't sound like it's going to work.
I thought he was my
final hope. Payment plan.
No, it's all right. I can sell it.
He's like, I'll sell it.
It's going to be a wine dealer.
I've got some bourbon bottles that I think there's probably like 10 in the world of.
Yeah,
okay, maybe
you have a ton of cool bourbon. I've seen that club.
I've got a 55-year-old bottle of bourbon that was 30 years old when it was bottled.
Wow. I'm not impressed.
I haven't opened it yet. And so now I'm like, man, this bottle is...
No 100-year-old bottles, 55 is the best you can do, Joe?
Well, I mean, that's as of right now. I was just doing the math while I was like going through it. I was like, oh, man. It's old. Okay, so we're way over time today, which I appreciate everybody being here. We talked about the POTUS welcoming the Prime Minister to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems like he's getting along with them.
Yeah, he does. It seems very cordial, surprisingly so. We have actually a piece of footage of that.
Yeah, let's play it.
Which one? 3?
1. Is it 1? Yeah,
it's the one where he is caught on camera, so to speak. Which, yeah. Play the clip where he is talking to him in the Oval Office. The one right before it actually shows the real conversation where they're filming and it's not technically started yet. That's the clip, I think. I think that's very indicative because, you know, whatever they say publicly is one thing, but what they say before they think the cameras are recording. There it is.
As much as you can. Somewhere near that. I watched your swearing in. She was okay. No, but it was a good interview. Thank you so much.
See, you heard him say there, I watched your swearing in. So he's been very polite, very cordial. He even went on to say that he thought he had done a good job, was caught on camera, and then also said it publicly as well when he knew the cameras were recording. So it seems it's honestly a little weird to see Trump being that nice to a leader of Canada. I'm not used to that.
Well, it got a little different. It did change as time went on.
It did.
So he wanted to talk a little bit about the Houthi fighters and that the Houthis are done fighting. Let's go ahead and play that.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective
immediately.
Yeah, and then President Trump went through and he had teased a very big announcement. I don't know if you can get any bigger than getting Tina Peters out of jail, in my opinion, but let's go ahead and listen to what he says.
We'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that up. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. but it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here.
Remember how I said that him and Carney didn't get along?
You did?
And that he was being nice to him?
Too nice, in my opinion.
And then what did he do? He did something else. About Canada.
What are you referring to? Hope we got another clip.
Yeah, we should probably watch it.
Okay, play it.
President, you had said that Canada should become the 51st state.
No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, you know, as a real estate developer, you know, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But you know, I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
So President Trump, Matt had to leave. So President Trump is still talking about Canada being the 51st country, 51st state. Here's the problem with that. It's a captured country. So can we just have the parts of it like Alberta and the semi-Western areas that are not covered with people who frankly have retarded ideas? I'd love to have those. So as we kind of roll things up, I want to go through some things that I just want you to check out. Just stuff that caught my attention. And white hate. It's a real thing. You know, Apollo, I put a thing in the comments this morning, and I want to play it because it's a self-loathing, you know, guilt complex that they want to push across our country. And I believe that this is actually real. And you don't have to be very smart in order to figure it out. I want to play this really quick because this is this is a WNBA star, Paige Bueckers, who had this to say when getting an award. And frankly, I think it's absurdly stupid. Let's go ahead and play it.
With the light that I have now, as a white woman who leads a black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. They've given so much.
You know what this is? It's a slight on black women. Serena Williams. There's no light on Serena Williams at all. We don't celebrate athletes based on their accomplishments, not their color. When we look at Brittany Griner, actually that's a man. You're right. I was wrong. Sorry. Look at Michelle Obama. Oh, whoops. Damn it. Michael. Daggone it. We are creating a society where you're making white people hate other people, including white liberal women. most that are part of this little fraternity that get told, hey, go say this. There's a marginalization. Now, with that said, there is a marginalization that's happening in our country. There is. It is absolutely true. And it disproportionately does affect Black, brown people because they're the ones in Democrat cities. And it is a school to prison pipeline. And there is an economic drought in those areas. There's an opportunity drought. There's a school education drought. There is a massive drought in that environment. That's very true. But you got some white girl that is playing basketball at the high level. And Black, white, they've all been celebrated. And she has to feel guilty about what exactly? Being talented? Dedicating her time? Or is she celebrating the fact that Black women don't have the ability to have the opportunity to go play in the WNBA? And I'll say it again. How many times have you seen United Airlines? And I'm not sure I'd want it to happen right now because the education standards are so poor, I wouldn't want them. But how many times have you seen United Airlines go into the inner city of Chicago, Detroit, and say, hey, look, we want to recruit you. Who here wants to be a pilot? No, instead what they do is they create an environment where they're always trying to keep a brother down, always trying to bully. They create this victim mentality. And it's just a few. It's just a few, but it is perpetrated by this other group of people, this cartel, that doesn't, by the way, they don't consider themselves white. And I'm talking about the Jewish, not the Jews, because it also is the Catholic-ish. It's a group of people that come together that say, we're going to create absolute chaos for the community, for the 95, 96, 97%. And we're going to make up a narrative. Do we have that video that I put in there this morning? Yeah. So I want to play this really quick because this is exactly what's happened to the Western world. And if you, by the way, don't wake up, if you don't wake up and reject it, then we have no hope. People get mad at me because I stand up and I'm like, listen, get rid of machines, mail in ballots, take chess pieces off the table. Like I'm a real guy. Like I really understand system architecture, not just from, Josh used to say stuff like, Joe, you see dead people. I do see dead people. I understand both sides of the coin and I can look at what the cause effect is of it. But if we don't actually get it under control and we stop this guilt complex that we've created, if we don't get it to a place where you can actually see what's in front of you, and this guy's not even an American guy. He's from, I think he's from Poland or something. There's something happening across the Western world. And if you don't pay attention, I talked to Matt about this earlier. I said, listen, your generation is just a half a click away from just being extinct because you got half dead, brain dead, absolutely retarded people that are up there saying that there is no God and you cut off your body parts, do all this crazy stuff, and we need to sexualize fifth graders and grooming of children and put up a special flag. And if you're not a part of the LGBTQ code, then you're just not that bright or you're not that important or you don't understand science. Totally against the grain of it. But this guy had this to say, and I thought it was brilliant. It was a brilliant way to look at what's happening in the Western world and whether or not we're trying to destroy it. We're letting them destroy it because we lack basic amounts of courage. Let's play it.
Come closer. I've got something to tell you. Something is happening across the Western world. You can feel it on the streets, in the courts, at work, and online. It's not just political. It's not just cultural. It's psychological. A silent shift is underway, and it has a name. The Inversion Matrix. 5 sections. Section 1. The reversal begins. In this new system, the native becomes the intruder, the majority becomes the villain, and the truth becomes hate speech. The very people whose ancestors built these nations, who raised the families, tilled the land, and paid taxes, now find themselves apologizing for simply existing. How did this happen? Section 2. Psychological engineering and guilt programming. It began with psychological engineering. First, inject guilt programming. a constant stream of reminders about colonialism, slavery, privilege, and oppression. Then, flood the language with weaponized labels. Racist, transphobe, Islamophobe, far-right, each designed to shut down conversation, to train you, to self-censor, and to submit. This isn't about justice, it's about control through confusion. Section 3. The two-tier system of compassion. Look around and you'll see it. As a matter of fact, I think that you know it already. Certain groups can gather publicly in the name of religion or pride. Others are fined, silenced, or arrested for praying silently. Crimes by one group are explained away as trauma, misunderstanding, or cultural norms. Same crime committed by someone else, instant outrage, national headlines, and cancellation. We've moved from equal rights to engineered imbalance, from justice for all to justice selectively applied. Section 4. Institutional capture. Every major institution in the Western world has been taken over by the same ideological virus. Schools no longer teach pride in culture, but shame in history. Police now investigate felonies, feelings, not felonies. Media filters truth through an ideological lens, where facts are problematic and narratives are sacred. Even churches and temples now bow down to slogans instead of scripture. This is called institutional capture, and it's not accidental. Section 5 is the long game. Divide, demoralize, and replace. But why? Because a divided, guilt-ridden, and morally paralyzed society is easier to govern. Shatter its tradition, drown it in imported ideologies, redefine its language, and turn its people against themselves. This is what I'm keep trying to say. These are the true cracks through the matrix. The end goal? Not justice, not harmony, but the population too confused to resist and too fragmented to unite. But let's be clear. This isn't a war between races or religions or genders. It's a war between truth and programming. Between those who remember who they are and those who've been rethought to forget. You don't need to hate anyone, but you do need to see. Because the longer we stay silent, the more the inversion matrix tightens. Until what was once solid, identity, family, faith, law, becomes liquid, then meaningless, then gone. This isn't about hate, I repeat. It's about survival. And if you're still listening, it means the program didn't fully work on you. Not yet.
We just saw somebody talk about white guilt. And I'm going to tell you, as we finish this, we keep supporting Tina because Tina should be supported. We support President Trump because President Trump should be supported. We support things that are not the ridiculous. They don't take ideological lines. They don't take, this mental gymnastics to come to a conclusion that this is logical when it comes out the other end. We don't have to daze. We don't have to confuse. We can just see it. We know that we have become slaves. We just don't want to admit it. But it's not white people enslaving black people. It's this group of people that have created this chaos. So this inversion matrix is a real thing. I mean, what they're doing, it's very easy for you to see. And the funny thing about who listens to this podcast, whether you're listening now or You're on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. If you're watching this on the website, or you're seeing this on YouTube, or you're seeing it in any of the one places we put, or BEK Network, I give them a shout out too, or the radio stations, any of them, is that there are just many Democrats that are out there searching for real answers as there are Republicans. It's one of the reasons why we went away from Conservative Daily, so that we could talk to people and say, listen, is this sensible or is it not sensible? Is this real or is it not real? Do we have to play this through the lens of calling yourself a liberal or a conservative, or can we look at this as this is just flat out common sense? And what is not common sense is chaos ruling the day and creating white guilt. I have guilt because I grew up poor. I was able to make it out. Now, do you think I made it out because I was white? I don't know. You could argue that, I guess. You could argue also that it has been a struggle bus for over 30 years. I mean, there was a time that I was on my way to work that I literally got out of the car because the guy behind me was tailgating me. I put my hands up like this, like, what's up? And he got out of his car and he decided he wanted to fight. And I beat the brakes off of him, literally right before a meeting. It took me less than 30 seconds to throw him around like a rag doll. I was 20-something years old, 23, I think. And I got back in the car as if nothing happens. I had to roll up my sleeves on my shirt. I was in a button-up shirt. And I went to work as if nothing happens. And I had just like a little bit of a rub on my deal. Didn't think twice about it. I mean, he didn't get up when I walked away. He was still laying next to his car, all beat up. That's the type of environment that most inner cities are. That's what people can't understand, is you can't understand that it took a different mentality because they treat people in those environments like animals. And if you make it out, it's because they push you into a place where, okay, you have talent. We're going to groom you through it. Everyone else is designed to be in that same bucket and not to get out. It's like winning the lottery. But it has nothing to do with white or black. It's a system of control. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about Democrats or Republicans. Republicans are just better at giving people opportunity because they stay out of their way. Because that's the concept behind the mind of those people that want a free world, even though they know you recognize you're not free. But we're responsible for this. Like, we created this. We created everything that we have here because we were apathetic. We were weak. We were cowardly. We continue to be that today. Now, I'm not. I just don't care. And it's not that I don't care about people around me. I don't care about my community. I don't care what happens to me for speaking truth. God will either protect me or he will call me home. But we have to have a mindset shift where we recognize what that guy just says as accurate, as true. Tell me what part of it isn't true. Put that in front of some of these people that they have that are radical leftists. Put it in front of them and say, hey, is this your goal? Or are they going to say, no? Oh, no. We're not trying to confuse you. We're not using dog whistles. You say, oh, dog whistle to someone and they run away because they can't handle the ability to get past the dog whistle. And they say in their mind, what else am I supposed to say? They're Googling it. I tried homophobe, it didn't work. What do I say next? White guilt is bullshit. It's bullshit. And black ideas that that we're holding the black people down. All right, so what happened in Africa? You say colonization. Okay. Well, what the hell is happening in South Africa? Where they're murdering every white farmer or anyone white. You have, it's not if you get raped as a white woman in South Africa, it's when. And what happened? But you have all of the levers of power and the entire area. And instead you betray the people that are in your own community. That's what's happening in Africa. You know what's really interesting about that is if you go to Israel, the leadership in Israel, the Jewish people that hide behind being Jews, they literally waited 7 hours on October 7th to send in any help when they were actually being attacked in Israel. They waited 7 hours on purpose in order to have the maximum amount of pain in that environment. They're all still held hostage by these really evil people. And the same thing happens in every area, and we fail to say nothing about it. And so when we stand up and we fight for Tina Peters and President Trump fires across the bow, and we talk about what's happening with Pam Bondi, and that we're not going to see the Epstein files now because it's unknown how long it's going to be till we get it. Yet they sat on the lawn at the White House with binders saying we have all the Epstein files. Only it was bullshit. When we fight for all this stuff, it's always the same players in mind that's telling me that I should have white guilt. You should have white guilt. While they walk around and do everything they can to betray the very people they say they stand for. So when she stood up there and said that white guilt, she doesn't believe that. She doesn't believe what she's saying. She's virtue signaling because she has to. Because somewhere along the line, she didn't have enough courage to stand up and say, you know what? I busted my ass to get to the WNBA. Thank you for the award. I want to thank my family. I want to thank the Lord for the opportunity to be here in front of you. And instead, someone said to her, you probably should give a light to black people, black women, because they don't get a light in sports. In the WNBA, you don't have black women that have any sort of light. The WNBA is 85, 90% black athletes. And by the way, the people that are in positions of authority over the WNBA, they're black. They're either black or they're black. But we're creating this racial divide. And we're allowing piece of shit judges and piece of shit DAs and AGs and just really demonic people to steal 56 cents from every dollar from you, spend it any way they like, create media outlets that do nothing but shower you in bullshit. And we got to take it. Yeah. No, I'm not the bald guy. I'm not totally bald. I'm going bald, though. I think I'm getting there. It says I'm not bald yet. No, I'm not. I'm getting there, though. All right, let's pray it out, shall we? Let me read some of these comments. It's pure evil. Make America godly again. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jeff. Make America godly again. Speaking truth there. God bless you, Joe. Thank you. SDI Serio. Gatorade. I don't want to miss anything. First show I've caught in a while. Gatorade, you better come back and watch it. New Case tells me I'm not completely bald. Thank you. I do have some balding happening. And then Eagles are bald. Say Lions. It has to be you. Yeah, it's a little housekeeping before we pray it out. We're here every day. Start at 2:00 Mountain Time, 4:00 Eastern. It does get a little bit spicy. My new co-host is Matt Wallace. And why did I choose Matt? Why Matt for Untamed Truth, for this show, for the flagship of the organization and what we do? Why did I choose him? And this came across. Like Jeff reached out to me and said, hey, Joe, Matt he's younger. He's more immature. And I would say, well, I don't think he's immature. He just doesn't have the same knowledge that I have. But something is happening where you have this line, this divide that's happening in age groups. Like we're just different. I'm just built different. And Matt, I want to bring him to a place where his voice becomes a thing that matters. Because his age group needs people to stand up and recognize what's happening. So it's a perfect match for me. It's the synergy, the ability to come together. That the young people that follow Matt and the young and old people that follow me, and he has some older people that follow him as well. He's got a lot of people that follow him, 5 or 6 million people. He's a master at social media. But he's the baton that we have to pass. I mean, in essence, I talk to people about how do we. New Case, Joe chose Matt because I wouldn't return his calls. You guys are killing me. Matt is a godly man. He's a family man. He's consistent in his character. And if Apollo wasn't just doing production and everything else he's doing, Apollo will still come in and do shows with me. Matt do shows by himself. I'll finish up shows like I'm doing now. But we're here for the long haul. And frankly, I have people that have been watching me over the last 4 years. And it's time that we come together. That's why we went from conservative daily to Untamed Truth. It's time that we come together and we get to a place where we're going to talk about truth no matter what, in a way that young people and old people can all relate to. But we're only going to speak truth. So that's why. Susan Rice says, Matt seems like a good guy. He is. Okay, Joe is mentoring Matt. Matt is a voice for the next generation. Thanks, guys. Yes, I am. We need a Pollo to play that song for Putro. Outro. Which song? Which song do you want to play, Noob? For those of you on X, you can follow Matt at Matt Wallace 888. You can follow me at Joe Oltmann X. You can, if you want to listen to us on the audio version, we got some things changing on the. David Clements will still be on occasionally. The Greek name for God song. Yeah, we can play that. We haven't heard that in a while, Apollo, have we? Yeah. All right.
Why? So I will kill because it'll probably copyright us.
Okay, we'll kill it on YouTube. If you want to watch it on somewhere other than YouTube, you can watch it there. Okay, let's pray it out, shall we? Father God, thank you. Thank you for intervening in what's happening to Tina Peters, intervening in what's happening in Colorado elections and what's happening in the elections across the country. Father, thank you for exposing all of the corruption, greed, just filth, demonic nature of what's happening in our leadership across the country. Thank you for exposing the judiciary, and thank you for exposing just all the really bad, selfish, disgusting people that have done harm to not just Americans, but people around the world. Thank you, Father, for President Trump's leadership, for what Elon Musk has given up in order to step out and do the things that he did with DOJ. And for the many people that actually don't really have a voice, that have been standing up and knocking on doors and doing the hard work and yelling from the highest building about what's happening in our country and what we need to do to fix it. We are thankful, Father, for our brothers and sisters, people that are listening, the people that even aren't listening, but that still have stood strong with courage against the evildoers that seem to have captured parts of our society and the world. Father, help us that we may be courageous, may do the right thing, may follow you and follow the light that you've put in our lives, that we may listen to you as we push towards restoration, to make our country and to make the world godly again, to make it a reflection of you, Father, that you can look at it and say, well done. Help us, Father, that we may make hard choices, that even if we have people that are friends of ours, but they're doing things that are bad, that we do what's necessary in order to expose and hold those people accountable, that we don't give free passes for bad behavior like we've seen happen with our leadership, and not exposing the things like that have happened with the Jeffrey Epstein files and so many more. Help us, Father, we may break down these walls of these groups of people that have worked together to selfishly serve themselves and not the people. Help us, Father, that we may set aside petty differences, may eliminate the chaos, and may speak truth regardless of what the consequences are. I ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. You get a chance to pray for Tina, please do. You get a chance to pray for our country, pray for President Trump. I would just ask you to pray for President Trump. You can donate to Tina Peters at tinapeters.us. That's TINAPETERS.us. We are in a revival period. I believe that. And we'll get there, but we're just not going to get there without the hard work. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same station. Thanks for being with us. Remember, hit the thumbs up on your way out for Rumble. We are going to commit more time to Rumble, try to grow what we do on Rumble. We're still going to be in other areas. You can catch us at untamednation.com and any of the other audio versions as well. And then we have a surprise. We're going to be launching in several languages. I've been asked for several languages, so we'll be doing that as well. God bless you all. We'll see you soon. Take care.